Fans, though, are not happy.
They're not happy.
They really aren't. And it's not craziness. And it's because, look, just the bad start is part of it, but it's the last 4 or 5 years. And I think this offseason and then everything that happened with Contreras, even if the Contreras thing figures itself out with him catching, it was the worst messaging. And in the 15 years I've been here, it was just such an odd Cardinals thing. It was unlike them to have something so public get out where everybody said different things or inaccurate things or things got out on a Saturday and they changed their messaging for the Sunday. But to me, this was the first offseason where I feel like everybody, first of all, was ticked at the fact that Mozeliak said we are going to increase payroll, and they really didn't. Now, if they went up 0.1%, whatever it was, they didn't really increase payroll. We looked at this yesterday. They're right there below Major League average in payroll. I believe the Major League average this year is $161 million.
16th right now.
16th.
Right. They're right below that at 160 and change. And then the other part, I've said this 5 million times. It's a broken record, but I don't know anyone besides the Cardinals front office that thought the starting rotation was good enough. Not anyone.
Nobody.
And for them to roll that out there and to say they have 6 starters, and they're including a lot of people that everybody else is scratching their heads at with Dakota Hudson. Okay, there's a lot of question marks. There's a lot of bodies. There's not a lot of certainty. So this is the kind of comments, like I see these comments constantly. About Waino, too, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
And it's always this. Usually it's respectful. We love Waino, but he's 41 years old.
Go ahead. Cough.
Thank you. We love Waino, and he was good for the first 5 months last year. His last month was really bad. And I think what we talked about yesterday is a very interesting question. I hope it doesn't happen, but if Waino struggles for 4 or 5 more starts, are you going to pull that guy?
Better.
$17.5 million, going for the 200 wins, selling the bobbleheads. These are all legitimate points to make.
Yeah.
Are you going to pull that dude from the rotation if his ERA is over 6 a month from now?
Do you think they will?
I don't.
Do you think they will?
I don't.
I don't either.
I think they're already going to pull Matz. I think what will happen is if Waino is really bad, let's say until the trade deadline, I think they do something like they did the last couple years and they add a couple bodies at the trade deadline. And maybe then they make some type of move then.
They did. He was asked, Billy DeWitt III, about payroll, and he didn't have a very good question or answer to that because he did say, hey, we're top 10. We're top 10. And I can't believe – I don't know if Slayton had a rebuttal of that.
No.
I don't know if he had the stats in front of him. He seemed like he had a ton of stats, but they're 16th. They're not 10th.
Yeah,
so.
He said historically we're top 10.
Yeah, is that what historically we're top 10? But it's not this year.
Nope.
But historically you are, but just not this year.
Well, why not this year?
Exactly.
Another $20 million-ish probably gets you close to top 10.
So the Mets are paying their team a record $345 million this year at the top of the payroll in Major League Baseball. That's the peak last year was $270. So they've raised the table that high this year. The Cardinals this year, in comparison, are up $5 million from where they were last year. But when you think about what that means, they've dropped down substantially from where that compares to where that top 10 is at this year. So there's $75 million behind the average of the top 10 teams that are spending in baseball. Teams like, let's see, the Astros, the Rangers, the Braves, the Blue Jays, the Angels, the Dodgers, the Phillies, Padres, Yankees, Mets. Those are all teams that have been very, very pronounced and aggressive in going and adding huge contracts regularly. You expect to see the Yankees there. You expect to see the Dodgers there. But some of these teams have jumped up. I mean, we all saw what the Mets did. I don't think anybody in their rational mind, hell, even in their sane mind, expects the Cardinals to go spend like the Mets did.
No.
That ain't happening.
No.
But you see teams like the Phillies who have went and added some pretty big contracts, and Trey Turner and Bryce Harper and things like that.
Yeah,
and, they've got more money to spend this offseason if they want to hold on to Aaron Nola. Like, plenty to go. You see the Angels, who have been notoriously bad spenders, a great example of why money don't fix all your problems. But then you see a team like the Blue Jays that over the last couple of years have done a blend of what I think the expectation for the Cardinals are. And that is to grow guys internally, guys like Bichette, guys like Guerrero, guys that have gone on to be big dogs. Add folks from the outside that make a big difference, like George Springer, like Kevin Gossman, like all the guys that go into that staff and build it out. That's the team of where the Cardinals should be. I see no reason why the Cardinals can't be more aggressive in the open market to add to what could be a solid internal base, but you can't grow it all from within. And that's why for them to continue to say we're going to raise payroll, it can't just be to raise your payroll. You've got to raise payroll to be a competitive level for where everybody else is spending if the intention is to compete with those teams. And there's no answer for it not to be there.
I think also, though, the Cardinals aren't good at spending in the straight-up free agent market. What they're good at is they get the player in. You can go back to Matt Holliday. Mm-hmm. But after that, Arenado, Goldschmidt. What they're good at is trading for the guy. The guy stays here for a half a year or a year, whatever it is, and then you sign him to an extension, or in Arenado's case, he doesn't opt out of his contract. If you look at, first of all, the Cardinals aren't going to win bidding wars. They just aren't. Even when they tried to throw a ton of money. I mean, you can go back to Pujols, but when they tried to throw a ton of money at David Price, when they tried to throw a ton of money at Jason Hayward, they still didn't win those bids, which was good, by the way. But then when they do actually spend money, it's always, as we've talked about, these I would call them mid-level, maybe upper mid-level, but not superstars. And almost every single one of those contracts is bad. What Mo's been good at in free agency in the last 5 to 8 years is going over to Asia and finding some diamonds in the rough. Miles Michaelis, that first deal was incredible. You can go back to Sun Wan-Oh. Miles Michaelis' first contract was great.
No, it's not. And I'm not sighing at the contract. But my thing about it is that kind of proves my point, though. That if you're going to be willing to go and do those things, to go and find a Miles Michaelis, go and get those extra guys, because those aren't premier international free agents that you're going to get. That's not your Otanis or you're the guy up in Boston right now whose name keeps getting away from me. But
Yoshida,
nor is he young.
Well, right. So, I mean, my thing about it is you can go and do those things, but you should be doing those things in addition to adding the guys that are here. Like when I looked at it and I said, all right, great. You know, who's in front of the Cardinals on top of those teams this year? And, I mean, you've got, the Giants, the Cubs, who went in and tried to get things together this year to get themselves together. The Rockies are spending more money than the Cardinals. Now, a big piece of that is the Arenado money that's held over. But the fact that the Rockies are still holding your water for part of the Arenado deal means there's more money there that you could be spending in that place.
Okay, the top 10 payrolls in the MLB, like, how are those teams doing? I know Toronto just had like an internal meeting because they suck, right?
Yeah, they're
getting their ass kicked.
They're still above 500.
Okay, well, like the Mets,
they're in a great division.
Yeah,
that's another part of this we probably don't talk about enough. Is the Cardinals have won or made playoff appearances the last, let's say, going back to 19, in arguably the worst division in baseball. That's another part of this. If you throw the Cardinals in the AL East, where Toronto's in last and they're above 500. Like every team you play in the AL East, you could make the case that all those teams could be better than every team in the National League Central. I don't know if that's 100% true, but if you rolled out Tampa, Baltimore, Yankees, Red Sox, Blue Jays, and you had them face the NL Central, there's a very good chance that all those AL East teams are better than almost every team in the National League Central.
The only team over there that I do feel like the Cardinals are absolutely better than is the Red Sox. When I look at the Red Sox rotation, it's basically the same thing, and I don't think the peak guys they've got in their lineup are that much better than the peak guys in the Cardinals lineup. But, I mean, it's not like it's a runaway. I mean, and those are the Red Sox are the 15th highest payroll in baseball this year.
Where's Baltimore?
They're $19 million higher than the Cardinals, who are at 16. Really? Baltimore is down. Baltimore's at $65 million. But Baltimore also is a franchise that has been unapologetic in the fact that we ain't spending money.
And they got young.
They know how to draft.
But they have turned it on in the last few years. I mean, getting a couple of number one picks helps with that.
So are they the best team in the MLB without spending a ton of money right now? Baltimore.
Yeah, I think so. Oh no, Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's at 76. I mean, but those two are right next to each other. But the point being is that my expectation for the Cardinals is to always be a team that is within the top 12 or so in payroll. The investment of what people put into the team should say that that's the case. And for the Cardinals to stay at where they have been historically, which is around that what's the most money the Cardinals have done in a year? Maybe about 170, 175 or so. Maybe, I don't know.
That feels right.
Can we effort there? I want to know what that number looks like. But the thing about it is that 175 don't spend like it used to. Things are going up. Things are changing. The market isn't the same. So you can't stay in the same place unless the goal is to stay where you are as an organization. Where you are as an organization is how you appear in the city, who goes through the gates, what all those things look like. If it's about winning World Series, the price done went up on those.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Well, that's the question. That's the question. Get him in, by the way, 855-282-8255. Actually, let me check my notes out real quick. I'm going to stop by Block Dispensary, by the way.
It's time to get your mind right with Cam's Notebook, presented by Block Dispensary on 590 The Fan.
Oh, God, how much food am I going to eat this weekend? Oh, God. I don't even care. I'm getting tan, and I'm eating food. That's what I'm going to do, Charlie. That's what I'm going to do. Let me look at my notes.
Good weekend.
The Cardinals won. Did Michaelis shove?
I think that's fair.
5 hits?
7 shutty. What do you have, 5 Ks?
Yeah.
5 strikeouts, 5
That's a
Ks,
shove.
no walks.
We're going to give him that.
I'm going to give him a
did.
shove.
Okay.
I think our earlier shove standards was you had to have 1 strikeout per innings pitched. But I think when you go 7 shutty in that ballpark, even though the Reds aren't very good, I'm going to grade on a curve.
Guys,
Because the Cardinals rotation, I'm going to allow myself to grade on a curve.
Okay.
So wait,
Because the rest of the rotation has been so bad.
when we're talking about Cardinal standards, I'm going back to my rule. By definition, this is a high-quality start because he pitched 7 innings, first of all, which might be the most important number you can do.
He was out there for a long time.
And he actually gave up no runs. Yesterday's win might be the most impressive win they've had all year.
That lineup?
Yeah, because you set the JV squad out. Now, granted, it took Lars and Nolan, who are in there every day, to
Nolan.
get it done. But you got to field 9 guys. So I mean, you got to do what you got to do. But for Miles to pitch the way that he did, Verhagen kind of a little rocky there, but Gio came in and cleaned that up. That was an impressive win,
That's a damn
especially
good
when it was knotted up at O's in the 8th.
And let Nolan Gorman, man, that dude, like he's clutch. He's got, 19 of his 40 RBIs are in the 8th or later, 8th inning or later. That guy's clutch, man, like he is. And then he steal third at the end there because of a bad pitch? Like that dude's on. Like he is, man. He's poised, doesn't say anything, just goes out there and does his thing.
You know who else got a stolen base?
The kid's
Our
gone.
boy.
He's 2 for 4. That's my boy. Gosh dang it.
Kids, if you're listening, parking
Yeah.
lot, you,
Well, he is.
me.
Oh, he's lit.
Now.
No. Oh, he's listening, though. Good for you,
First
Kiz,
of the
man.
season for Kiz.
Good for you, buddy. Dude just works his ass off.
It's just a weird year.
It's goofy.
It's a weird year
Goofy.
because even when they win, so like, Matt, I think you just said something along the lines of, this was a very impressive win.
It was a high-quality start.
Okay. But you said something else after that.
No,
I'm not
what'd
directly
you say?
quoting you. No, what I'm saying is I think it speaks to where the Cardinals are at this year. Because in previous years, if the Cardinals had split a series and won a game 2-1 in the finale to get the split against a bad Reds team when 12 people were watching, I just feel like we've already lowered the bar.
We have.
And I'm not trying to be negative every single day. They did win the game. But this team is just odd. And
It is.
I think what kind of stinks for fans is that they had all these concerns in the offseason. The concerns weren't about the regular season, by the way. They were thinking, okay, this team's going to win 90. They're going to win the Central. They're going to get to the playoffs. Is this a team that can actually compete for the playoffs? And because the start was so bad, I feel like we've already lowered the bar to now, if they get in the playoffs, some people might feel like, okay, well, after the bad start, that's an accomplishment. And entering this season, the whole narrative was, no, we need more than first-round playoff exit.
Charlie, I like where you're at because you're doing advanced accountability.
There you
You're
go.
managing people's responses to things that could come up in 3 months, which I appreciate. I appreciate that.
Playoffs?
Well, you know.
Playoffs?
But, yeah, I agree, and I think that a lot of that is environmental. Like, go back to the point we were just talking about with the AL East. If you're 10 games down in AL East, you might as well pack it in. Let it go. Sell
Pack it
off,
up,
baby.
pack it in.
Yeah,
Let
that's it.
me begin.
That on me. It's
It's just, we're going to
And
play
by the way,
music today.
I
don't give a
know,
damn.
I know the Cardinals went into Boston and swept them.
Yep.
My point is more so about just the AL East as a whole. That if you took all of those teams together, almost all those teams are better. Even the last place team. If you put the Blue Jays up against the Cardinals or the Milwaukee Brewers, that's going to be a series. And again, that's the last place team in the AL East versus what we think are the best couple teams, even though the Cardinals' record doesn't show it. I think at the end of the year, the Brewers and the Cardinals are going to be the best teams in the National League Central.
855-282-8255. Get them in and get them in now. Cam, I got to say, you've come a long way with baseball. Proud of you as a radio man. Big Belly Burley. Aw, thank you.
Yeah.
We're all proud of you.
God.
We love you, man.
I just want to thank
Long way
Jesus.
from our first baseball meeting. All right.
Yeah. Oh, God.
So how's this work again? Well, they throw the ball.
Man, oh, God, I sat out 40 minutes to talk, man, when we get into baseball the first 4 years of my radio career. I just couldn't get into it. Now I'm like, what's up?
But you did
I'm
the
like,
hours.
what's up, Charlie? What's up with this? Maddie, let's go.
You did the hours, man.
Dang right, man.
Sound good.
Michael's curveball and location was good yesterday. Nebraska Prairie Dog. He looked good.
Good for him because he had a very rough start to the season, as we all know. He has been very, very good recently. He's figured it out. He's getting that ERA down to respectability after it was, over 10, whatever it was.
Miles was, what do we call it? Yesterday he was a stopper. He stepped up,
He's a
said, all right,
stopper.
we got to get it done. Does that make him a Fenton 8 now?
Oh.
Amongst stoppers in all 30?
A Fenton 8.
Yeah.
Huh.
He said,
Fenton's pretty big.
You get all these teams together and say, all right, we got to get a win. We're going to send the best thing we got out there. We're going to send
Fenton
Scherzer.
8.
We're going to send Verlander. We're going to send DeGrom. We're going to send Michaelis. Oh.
Fenton 8.
Eh?
Yeah, okay.
Garrett Cole's coming. All right, the Yankees are going to be all right.
What's a Fenton 8? I'm trying to
Miles
visualize
Michaelis.
that. What she looks like. A Fenton 8. Interesting.
It's like we're getting there, but we're not quite where we need to be.
Like you're like,
Not quite, but almost.
all right, what's up?
So a Fenton 8 is a Miami what?
Oh, you're not getting
Four.
it. No, you
2.5.
can't. Four.
Two and a half.
Miami, 4.
2. I'm okay.
What's wrong with you?
2. It's a 2. A Miami.
It's a chick that's visiting Miami.
Man, oh man.
That's what it is.
I bet
Hey,
you.
we love Fenton.
We love Fenton.
We love the corner butcher.
Dang right. Well, Lily's.
in Pimp's clothing. I like different cities for different things. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to Fenton to party.
Should I
but
pick
I'll go some
Should I
meat.
pick somewhere else?
I mean, I'm not going to go to Fenton to Wheel. I bet you I can guess who the Cardinals are scouting to trade for. 43-year-old left-handed pitcher Rich Hill. Book it. Joe Bouzram. Unless they go get a guy like Cease. Hold on.
Dylan Cease of the White
Dylan
Sox.
Cease, Gelato, or Bieber.
Giolito.
God,
Good job,
Giolito.
though.
Or Bieber.
I'll take some
They are
gelato, though, if we
They are
got it.
not at all in for 2023. This starting pitching is an absolute disaster.
I still think they're going to have to jump the market if they're going to do that. You can't wait until July to try to make a move like that. You got to get out in front of folks because Dylan Cease, I read an article yesterday talking about how this could work. Eduardo Rodriguez in Detroit, who I brought up a couple weeks ago, but Dylan Cease. Giolito has kind of fallen off bad in the last year and a half or so. I don't know if you want to bring in another project, but I wouldn't want to go the route of trying to catch lightning again with a couple of guys like Quintana and Montgomery. Like, you got lucky with that one, but now go for it.
And so, as somebody who is a big Shane Bieber advocate in the offseason, I'll just throw a couple numbers at you. Because we do talk about this Cardinals rotation and not striking people out. Now, on the surface, Shane Bieber, 3.08 ERA this year. His FIP is almost 4, which is more indicative of how he's actually pitching. Mm-hmm. So his baseball card stats right now, a little better than how he's actually pitching. And then here's what kind of jumps out at me just by looking. He's a guy who in the COVID year led the league in strikeouts, 122 strikeouts in 77 innings. The year before, 259 strikeouts in 214 innings. Even last year, pitched 200 innings, struck out 198 batters. So it's dropping a bit. This year, 47 strikeouts in 64 and a third innings pitched. That piques your ears up.
Yes, it does.
That he's not striking guys out at all compared to years past.
So as part of the Shane Bieber for Mayor Club, how do you feel?
I don't like that at all.
So where are
if
we
you're
going
not getting
now?
strikeouts, you're not getting swings and misses, and you're not as nasty as in previous years. And again, his numbers, his ERA should probably be closer to 4.
Jobu chimes in and goes, imagine how Nolan Arenado feels. Didn't Moran fly out to L.A. to meet with him and ensure him they were going to increase the payroll to convince him not to opt out? ? I believe so, right?
How many reasons is Nolan Arenado getting to still be here? 35 million or so?
Yeah.
He's okay. Not worried about Nolan
What's up with
Arenado.
Goldie, though? Is he hurt or something, you think?
I mean, overall, he's having a good year.
No, I know, but like he hasn't been playing much.
He had a couple bombs the other day. I think that when you got a guy that's 35, if you got, what do they get, 16 straight days right now? No, I just think you're trying to keep him from getting there.
I literally just happened to listen to this podcast before you guys. I turned you guys on. I liked the questions, but the answers were lackluster. Oh God, I know. I felt kind of bad for him.
Goldie's walk to strikeout ratio is really good this year. By the way, it's 33 and 46.
He's the perfect number 2 hitter.
Last year it was 79, 141, and then that's kind of what the theme is for most of his season. So he's done really well with that ratio.